Our next speaker and next guest on the show is Vishaka Datta. She writes and films non-fiction, works on gender, sexuality and the internet, runs the non-profit Point of View in Mumbai. As a board member of the Wikimedia Foundation, Vishaka has been involved with the foundation since 2010. For the uninformed, the Wikimedia Foundation operates Wikipedia. She's on the board also of many women's rights organizations in India, including Breakthrough, CREA, and Majlis. Her first book, And Who Will Make the Chapatis, focused on rural women's participation in politics, while her first independent documentary film, In the Flesh, explored the lives of 3 people in prostitution from their own perspectives. Her book, 9 Degrees of Justice, documented new perspectives on violence and women in India, while her film, Taza Khabar, explores a rural newspaper run by women, many of whom are Dalit or tribal. Zinda Lash is a tribute to every sex worker who is not recognized as a woman or a human being. She received a BA in Economics and an MA in English Literature from Mumbai University, as well as an MA in Communications from Stanford University. Please welcome Vishaka Datta.
Vishaka, welcome to Jam with Sam.
Thank you.
Nice seeing you here.
And same, yeah.
So how many years do we know each other? I think 16?
At least like 15. I was
15,
going to say
16
the
years.
same.
I think our old friend Amar Sukhi introduced us.
And also Lawyers Collective.
Lawyers Collective, absolutely, absolutely. Vishaka, multifaceted. That's the only way to describe you. Only one thing comes to mind when I see you at directing the movie over there. So tell me something about these movies you make.
Okay.
Specifically on women. I mean, what are the kind of movies you make on that?
So what I like doing, let me just tell you a little bit, like when I grew up, the word documentary was a really dirty word.
Okay.
Because I don't know if anybody here remembers, but I remember going to see movies and they would show these terrible films division documentaries before the film started, right? And we would all run out, and in those days you didn't even get the kind of popcorn you get now, but you would run out and say, okay, let me like go to the loo or whatever. So the thing is, normally when you say documentaries, people sort of yawn and say, oh my God, this must be like deathly dull. But the kind of documentaries that have started being made in India recently, and I do some of that kind of stuff, is much more like stories about real people. So just like our feature films are stories which are fiction, these are actually, because there's so many interesting stories in like day-to-day life, right? So we pick up some of those. I'll talk about one very quickly, which is In the Flesh. So in the Flesh, I actually followed 3 people who were all in prostitution. It was very interesting. There was an older woman in Calcutta. There was a younger woman in Sangli in Maharashtra. So sort of a rural situation. And there was a Hijra in Calcutta.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Who lived with her family, like mother, sister, etc. And then I had to build up the trust and tell their stories, and they were just interesting stories that you don't get to hear, that kind of stuff. So I like focusing on people and really telling their sort of stories.
So these are real life people you shot,
Yeah.
not actors.
Not actors. That's the whole thing with documentary, is real life stories.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So you think the filmmaking has changed in the last couple of months,
Yeah.
in the years, because of friendly, nice cameras over here?
Hugely.
Because others you'd require that big video cameras and all to shoot.
Yeah, so honestly, like for people like me, because documentaries don't have like huge budgets like Bollywood films. So one of the things was, in the olden days, you not only had like the kind of film I made where I followed these 3 people, if I had to follow them with this giant camera and with somebody on sound, like, a crew of 5 people, there's no way they can be, because they're not actors, right? So they have to feel relaxed enough to go about their life. It's like, imagine if somebody follows you from morning to night and says, I'll do a day in the life of. You have to be totally relaxed. So the smaller the camera, the easier it is. So technology has changed the entire thing.
Fantastic.
Like completely. Yeah.
How many business have you been into the last 15 years?
Well, the non-profit I run is not technically speaking a business, but before that, when I used to do more film work, I used to run a small company called Kettler Fish, because my name is Vishaka and a lot of people call me Bish, and then some people call me Fish.
Oh,
so
wow,
it
my God. Wow.
Kettler Fish. So that was a lot of fun. And then I found actually that my interest was more in sort of women-related stuff and films, etc. And so I just started a non-profit. Yeah.
So, and you keep, I mean, you had in between gone about, I think, for a year or something abroad to write a book.
I hadn't gone away for a year to write a book. I had, you know, all of us, like anybody who's tried to do something which is outside your day-to-day life, you know what a struggle it is, right? If you have any personal project, because you somehow find time for it in the middle of like your 100,000 things. So I had gone away for a short period of time on what's called like a writing residency, where they basically give you like beautiful surrounding, full peace, full quiet, lovely food. And the one I went to was in Italy, so Italian food. And you know, you're just left to yourself and you write.
Okay. So
Yeah.
you don't suffer, a person who suffers from writer's block, he can go over there.
Anybody can
Creative
go over
block,
there,
any
yeah.
creative
Because
block.
the thing is, oh, yes, because also they're not like sitting on your head with a stick and saying, you know, how much have you written today? So frankly, you don't write a single word, they don't care. Yeah.
Okay.
So it's very, yeah.
over there. Okay.
Yeah.
So, what has been your experience on online networking versus offline networking? There are two types of networking, online and offline. What do you prefer?
I much prefer online.
Okay.
Yeah. So, meaning it's just, you know, it's part of your day now. That's the first thing, right? You just do it as something that you do. I think that sometimes there's a joy that you get, like everybody was talking about Twitter. That's something I like a lot. Sometimes you just connect with somebody you don't know at all, right? About something, and you feel like you're thinking the same thing or you're connecting. And there's something very nice about that, and that person can be from anywhere in the world, right? Which is very different from offline, where you're usually in the same geographic space, etc., etc. So the diversity of online networking, like I think I really enjoy it, and also you can do it much more easily and build it into your day-to-day sort of thing.
So you prefer Twitter as a platform for networking?
See, I'm not that active. I go through sort of ups and downs type of stuff. And I think one of the problems with a lot of non-profits is we are really bad at social media. Yeah. You know we should take it seriously enough, and often we take it seriously enough in our personal handles. Like I'm much more active on my personal handle on Twitter than our non-profit is. But yes, I like it. I like that. Yeah.
So now coming to the big question, what exactly is Wikipedia? And how does it function in India?
Oh Lord, how does it function is like would take us a whole lifetime to sort of explore. But Wikipedia, okay, just very, very briefly, I mean, everybody uses it, right? I'm assuming there isn't anybody here who has never gone to Wikipedia, right? So it's a free online encyclopedia. It's visited by about 500 million people every month. So it actually is the 5th biggest website in the world after Google, Microsoft, Facebook, and Yahoo. But unlike the top 4, it's a .org. So the difference is that if you imagine, say, a Google or a Facebook, they have like tens of thousands of employees. At Wikipedia, we don't actually have employees. What we have are volunteers. So we have about 80,000 volunteers around the world who actually create Wikipedia. So everything you read in Wikipedia is created by people who, for some reason, like from 7-year-olds to 70-year-olds, right?
Okay.
Some people just get hooked onto that thing of I can contribute to the world whatever I know. So you might have like, say, a school boy who's very passionate about, say, some particular kind of food, let's say. I met someone like that in Kerala, who took photographs of certain kinds of food and put those up on Wikipedia.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay.
So it's basically like literally a platform on which, all of us have little bits of knowledge, right? We always think like encyclopedias have to be written by experts who have knowledge, but actually if you think about it, all of us have some knowledge, right? So whether it's a Mihir who knows about music, whether it's Tanvi who knows about branding, etc. Yeah, but then we feel like that's just like in our own sort of life. But at Wikipedia, we've created a platform where if you know how to edit it, you can
bring it
add
all
that.
together.
Yeah. Now the problem is the how it works part is a little crazy because there are 285 different language Wikipedias.
Oh.
Yeah. So in India itself, there are all the big 20 languages are there, including there's a Sanskrit Wikipedia.
Oh.
Yeah. Even
Wow.
though Sanskrit is almost dead language at this point. So the complication is that there are all sorts of rules and policies which people have to follow, which means you can't just go on and write any
Anything,
crap, but you can. Like I spent all of yesterday trying to correct an article where someone had just written nonsense. And sometimes when we teach people how to edit Wikipedia, just for the fun of it, we say, okay, you can just go to any article and just write any rubbish, like 2 sentences, right? Because you see it, it's live. But then you also see that within 2 seconds, that sentence gets deleted by another volunteer who's making sure that crap is not getting on.
Okay.
Yeah, so it's like a whole thing of army of volunteers, some of whom do proofreading, some of them write on things. A lot of people write on stuff which is not part of their day-to-day job, but which they're passionate about.
Okay.
Like I have a friend who's in the army and he's very, very passionate about cooking and food. So he writes about food, etc. Yeah, so it's very much like that.
So supposing I as Sampath Iyengar wants to start a Wikipedia page, can I start it? Or can anybody in this room start their own Wikipedia page?
Their own means what? About themselves?
About themselves.
Yeah. So, one of the few rules we have is you can start it about yourself. But one of the things we say is that because it's an encyclopedia, it has to be somewhat objective. And chances are if you start something about yourself, you'll make it a little promotional. So then technically you're supposed to, if you start your own page, there's a place where you're supposed to say that I've done my own
my
page.
plug.
Yeah,
plug.
kind of thing. Yeah, but it's, so we discourage that, but you could. Frankly, because listen, if you start an account to contribute to Wikipedia, just like on Twitter or on Facebook, you can have an account by any name, right? And similarly, so nobody would know actually if you actually
doing it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like with many online platforms, you don't know who that person actually. Yeah.
So that means supposing like I was searching for Tanvi,
Yeah.
and the first thing which came up on her was a Wikipedia. So somebody has written some Wikipedia about her over there.
Yeah.
So many times, even if you don't have a Facebook or a web page, that Wikipedia account becomes
Correct.
very, very important over there. So it's very necessary to have a Wikipedia, and you have to monitor that. Otherwise, somebody can write some other rubbish about you.
Yeah, exactly.
And they'll say, I looked at Wikipedia, this is what it's saying over there. So I think it's very, but that monitoring also goes on to other people. So I put up my page over there, and these volunteer people are there, they'll also monitor that over there?
See, they won't monitor they'll just make sure that the rules are being followed, right?
Okay.
That kind of thing. But they can't figure out, like suppose you have your page, you will know what is correct and what is not, right? That the person can't figure out, but what they can figure out is every time you're writing something, are you adding a reference?
Sure. Okay.
You can't just like Thoko. Yeah, ideally you can't just like put up a huge page because then why should anybody believe you? Why should anybody go to Wikipedia?
So are you educating people on how to use it? Do you have any programs or something that you educate?
We do it from time to time, but it's a little complicated. We do it again, we're all volunteers, right? So when people call us, we do it. But the thing is, once we it's fine to say technically, like on Wikipedia it says the encyclopedia that anyone can edit. And that sounds great, like an invitation, it's meant to. But once you start, then you say, okay, now I have to write one sentence. You write that sentence, then if you don't put a reference, suddenly after 3 minutes you find sentence has vanished because somebody else has said there's no reference. So how do we know this is like a proper piece of information? Then you say, oh my God, now I have to find a reference. Then you go online and you start looking for a reference. Then you say, oh my God, this is not as easy as Facebook and Twitter. This takes time, this takes effort. Then after half an hour, you're like, okay, chalo, back to Twitter or Facebook. Yeah.
Okay. If you have to live your life again, what would you be? Accepting what you're doing right now.
Now, because you've asked both of them, I have already thought of this. Yeah. No, but one of the things actually surprisingly that I wanted to be when I was young, 2 things, both of which are related to music, was one, I wanted to be a drummer.
Oh.
And I was very disappointed that my mother made me learn the piano, which is like as much the opposite of drumming as you can get, right? And the other thing is I actually really like music and I've always wanted to be a DJ. Yeah. So that's something, that's the kind of profession, to be honest, when I was much younger, you could never have done, right? Because these places didn't exist. Now you can do this kind of
So
stuff.
if I tell you can get that dream today in this, will you do it?
But in this means like now I'll have
Right
to...
now, in 5 minutes, when you finish from this event, I'll introduce a guy who's got a DJ school and he can train you.
Of course, yeah. Seriously.
He's in the room right now.
Okay, great.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
A word out to all these entrepreneurs. You're a very different, you're a social entrepreneur, if I may
Yeah,
call it over
yeah.
there. So word out to all the entrepreneurs out over here.
I think the main thing is to really believe in yourself. And I think the main thing is it doesn't matter whether you're different or whether you're the same or whatever. If you really believe in yourself, it comes through. And the other thing is you have to have the patience, right? It's like when people start businesses, they say you have to have like deep pockets. It doesn't matter whether you have deep pockets or not, I certainly don't. But you need to have deep patience because you can't like, you know, you can't expect, like it's not a magic wand, nothing is, right? So it's not like on day one. Yeah, some people are lucky and things happen very quickly. Some people have to sort of pace themselves out. So that's what I would say.
Fantastic. Fantastic, Vishaka. Where do you see point of view? Now it's point of view.
Okay,
in the
thank
next
you.
maybe couple of years, what you would like to aspire to be?
So, you know, Point of View is the non-profit that I run, and we started about 16 years ago. So one of the things is it's, you know, I've been saying for the last 5 years that I want to move from POV 1.0 to POV 2.0. Because you get tired, I'll be honest, you know, 15 years you're doing sort of roughly the same stuff. After a point you're like, hey, this is not that exciting as it used to be. So I think what's really good is that over the last 4 years, we've managed to reinvent ourselves. And everything we are doing now is much more in the digital space. So for instance, we're taking like rural women who are journalists in Eastern UP
Oh my God.
and teaching them how to use the internet and how to put their newspaper online. And we did one and they got you know what a bob is? Best of blogs.
Best of
So
blogs.
yeah, so
Wow.
one of them got it. Yeah, so we are doing that kind of stuff. Like everything we used to do earlier, we are bringing online. Yeah. So
That's the future over there.
That is, I think the future is actually that merge,
of
no? Yeah.
Online.
Both. Yeah.
Online and offline.
Yeah. Yeah.
Vishaka, fantastic. Thank you so much
Thank
for
you
sharing
so
the
much.
story over
Yeah.
here. And
Yeah. Hey, great. I have to say that I wore my specs. I got my specs because I turned 50 recently. And I will say honestly that I had to put on my specs to read the happy birthday in there. So once I saw the cups, I was like, let me bring this along. But this is fantastic. Thank you. Yeah. Great.
that's great having you.